Hello and welcome to the Punished for Protecting Live broadcast with your host, Francesca Amato, national expert in the Americans with Disabilities Act, domestic violence and child abuse advocate, best-selling author, and founder of Punished for Protecting Incorporated. We welcome all of our viewers watching on Facebook via Punished for Protecting News and the CPS News Network. If you're watching on YouTube at Punish No More and Free to Protect, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. You can also find Punish for Protecting News on Rumble. Now, without further ado, here is your host, Francesca Amato.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Punish for Protecting News tonight. I'm so happy to have you all here. I'm going to show you a short clip with regards to tonight's program, tonight's broadcast, and I am very, very excited about what we're going to be sharing with you tonight. I also have my guest and colleague, Hannah Rose, on with me tonight. She's going to go over her background and the things that she does. I have a lot to cover tonight. As you know, Punish for Protecting News has been around for several years now, and we have been exposing the family court, exposing CPS, tying together the child trafficking industry to the family court, looking for solutions, working very, very diligently on 7 days a week around the clock for many, many years, helping families, having a lot of success in saving children, returning children to safe homes, stopping children from going into abusive situations. And this next step in the things that we're doing, I'm so excited about. We now have devised, and it's been taking me a couple of years to prepare for this, which we're going to go over with you tonight so that we can help you out and educate you on how this is going to work. But this is the first time ever happening in history. This is an alternative to family court. We're calling it one bench at a time, and it's an alternative to family court that we, Punish for Protecting Inc., is doing. So tonight, our broadcast we're going to explain to you what we do, our background, anybody that may not understand a little bit of our history. Hannah's going to talk about her background. We also have a team behind us. Some people are more front lines, like Hannah and myself, more kind of like a personality leadership type. Others are more behind the scenes. But everybody really cares about what's been happening in this country, what's been happening really literally globally. But we really cater to the United States. I do have a chapter in Canada as well, but this is going to be for the United States. Now, there is mediation that's a part of this, but it's not the kind of mediation that people are used to, because I do not work for the courts. And this is not done like an attorney would go back and forth and don't know if you can trust that attorney with your family, and they're really working for the other side kind of thing in those kinds of mediations, because they really do want to, continue this charade. We don't want to continue this. We want to make sure that your families are safe. Above all, children are safe. I have deep concerns for the health and welfare, mental health of our nation's families, because I believe that largely because of family court, and obviously CPS and all that goes with it, our politicians and so on and so forth. This is the reason we have a mental health crisis in our country. This is the reason we have addiction in our country. I'm not saying that it doesn't have other reasoning behind it, but this is one of the most largest reasons. And I do believe, and I've said it multiple times in multiple ways, that the family court is literally the gateway door to the child trafficking industry. So welcome, everybody. I really appreciate when you all share It's really important that you share because you are helping a family. I know you may not understand that, but you are helping a family. Listed below, if you see April 28, 2023 at 3 p.m. Eastern. It's a tea talk at the South Hall Hollick Free Library in Milton, New York. Please call at 845-795-2200 to reserve your spot. I am going to be doing a 2-hour free class for you. If you're in New York, come on in. I'm going to be doing a free class for you. I've already purchased my own books. For anyone that wants to purchase a book, I will be there to autograph a book for you. And let me tell you, I have pages in the back of my book that explains to you the laws that protect your families that the courts are not using. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring out my guest and my colleague, Hannah Rose. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show this one quick clip. Many of you have seen this, but I do want to ask you, please spread this video. We're also on Punish for Protecting News, which is located on Facebook. Please go ahead and look at that page and go follow it and spread that page. Invite your friends, because that's a place that if you turn on notifications, you will not miss these important live videos. Here on, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, Punish No More and Free to Protect, Facebook, my main page, Francesca Amato, and Rumble, Punish for Protecting News. But without further ado, let me go ahead and play, this clip for you. And then we'll bring out my guest, Hannah Rose. Hey guys, I'm so excited to tell you that we are launching the Punish for Protecting alternative to family court. You can see a live video this Wednesday, April the 12th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook, Punish for Protecting News channel, or Francesca Amato on Facebook, or my YouTube channel, Punish No More and Free to Protect. And please turn on notifications so you don't miss this episode. We are launching an alternative to family court through my organization, Punish for Protecting Incorporated. Punish for Protecting Advocacy Mediation Program remains unmatched as the premier source for restorative efforts, alternative approaches, and empowering education. When dealing with family court conflicts, we are dedicated to providing you, the family, a holistic perspective for success. Family courts all over this country, which I have firsthand observed all over this entire nation, and the judges that I've exposed and observed, and child predator services, CPS, law enforcement, politicians, and so on in this child trafficking industry have done disastrous work and literally harmed countless American families. This will stop that. Now, one of our goals is to keep you out of family court, never to go inside. Goal number 2 is to get you out of family court if you have been a victim of family court and you're in the family court loop right now. Goal number 3 is to help you who's dealing with a narcissist abuser in the family court, to help you to be able to deal with it and succeed. However, one of the things that's going to happen here is that this is going to put like a spotlight on abusers, because good, healthy parents are going to want to go through our program and get the protection their families need without dealing with family court. So whether you're breaking up a relationship or you're unfortunately ending a marriage, which we also have certain areas in what we're doing in our organization to help save marriages that are salvageable, because we believe in the family and we believe in marriage. However, I know that sounds funny, but we don't believe in abuse, and that's why we do what we do. And we believe that children should be protected. Punished for protecting. So there's so much good that's going to come out of this, not to mention the fact that this will start to put a stop to the foster care industry that's been harming thousands of American children and children abroad, of course, and also the forced adoption, which is the most disgusting thing. So this is how it's going to help the end of child trafficking altogether. I only have 3 minutes on here, so I can't get into all the details. So you don't want to miss this program live 8 p.m. on Wednesday, April the 12th, when we're launching the alternative to family court. And one last thing, it will also air on Rumble the following couple of days later. Well, I don't see Hannah's video on, unfortunately. I don't know if there's a way you can fix that, but you are widescreen, so that's good. Can we hear you, Hannah? Oh, maybe she's coming back in. Okay, there was an issue.
So
please bear with me. I'm going to remove this one and bring this one out. There's the problem. There we go. I don't know what happened there. Oh, you can't do widescreen, or can you? Oh, we can't hear you. While Hannah is adjusting.
So
there
sorry.
you are.
So I had it open on my laptop and it said that it was streaming. So I had my phone standing by. So I was like, this doesn't look like it's working. So I'm so sorry about that. It was on my laptop looking like it was working. But anyway, hi.
That's okay. That's okay. Are you able to turn it, or is it too late now? It's so funny because it looks like she's turning. This is the roller coaster ride. Okay, I guess you're going to say like that.
I tried that in the beginning. I know. I've actually been troubleshooting for a few minutes and it was doing weird things.
I'm sorry.
So I turned it. But it doesn't move with me. That's the thing.
Turn with you.
Sorry.
That's okay. Well, as long as the audience can see and hear us, guys, we thank you and appreciate your comments. This is Hannah Rose. She is way more than assistant. She is literally, she's literally a genius, honestly.
Oh my gosh! Don't even do that. Don't mislead people.
She is. She's got a heart of gold, loves God, really cares about people, and has an amazing background, and has been with us for over a year now. Literally, you're about to be certified soon as an ADA advocate, but she literally is hit the forensic expert status. She has way more background than I do when it comes to educational needs, which is very helpful to the work that we do. And before I have you literally start maybe talking about this, I do want people to put comments. I do want you guys to ask questions. Now's the time.
Yeah.
I want to just mention something to all of you as we talk about this alternative to family court, because this is huge news, guys. This message needs to be spread far and wide. This is a breakthrough. This is something that I know there's going to be people saying, well, what about foster care? And what about CPS? And what about forced adoption? This is going to affect that. And as we talk more tonight and you listen to both of us, you'll understand how that's going to work. But basically, we're bringing families in that are willing to, like a lot of times families, even if there's very bad on one side or the other, they will do court mediation. This is very different, very, very different than that. Okay. And this is multifaceted. And this is all about your free will. This is not forcing anything on you. And this is because of our expert background and years of doing this. This is to ensure that children do not suffer, that families do not unnecessarily suffer. Do no harm is our biggest goal here. And because I've been doing this for so many years, I mean, I think through just our live videos and stuff, and as you know, my broadcast is unscripted all the time. It's what you see is what you get. We don't edit out. That's one of the things that we stand for. We don't script you, we don't, none of that. You tell your stories. I've had many people who've had, mainstream media or what have you, or other broadcasters, and then they'll come to me because they get to actually tell their story, and your voice is so important. So let me just kind of say something. My life's work is to primarily protect the rights of children and families by exposing the corrupt family court system and the CPS child protective, which, as you guys know, I call it child predator services, advocating for families so they no longer have their ADA rights violated, as courts lack in accommodating reasonable provisions. I have worked tirelessly through my advocacy work to support litigants involved in family court matters. My expertise has proved the family courts cause families to suffer adverse and traumatizing emotional abuse. I own this nonprofit organization, which is a 501c4, Punish for Protecting Inc. And there's a lot that we're going to delve into tonight. But before we do, Hannah, would you go ahead and kind of lay a foundation, what you're doing, and then how it's incorporated in what we're going to be doing for families?
I'd be happy to, because it's really my heart and soul, is so aligned with yours. And just to quickly kind of make a quick connection for anyone that may just not have enough time to stay or just is passing by. So Francesca just said, it's this kind of alternative, obviously, to family court. So remember too, meaning to you, the audience, that the family courts are actually tasked with doing really good things. Reading about what their goals are and how they care for I know they say the best interests of the children, but I like to say that they cater to the well-being and safety of children, meaning as far as what their stated goals are. So what this really is kind of actually upholding those stated goals. All of us enter the family courts, especially when there's kind of an adversarial thing or there's been abuse in the situation, and we feel very confident based on what we read about what should happen in our state statutes, and maybe we have a cursory idea of what the Constitution says. We know what's supposed to be, and we feel confident because we are the safe parent, whoever that is, a mom or a dad. And then we're really hit with, a 2x4 to the face when you see how things actually shake down in the court. So the point is to stay away from that and to actually serve the best interests of a family, even if they're apart. But so for me, I mean, it's, a total God thing. I mean, it's almost like part of my testimony at this point that I am connected with Punish for Protecting and this whole just really move of God that's happening. And it doesn't mean it's compulsory that you believe in God or that you have put God at the head in your life, but it could still be part of what is, it may even hit a soft spot for you that we feel that convicted about what we're doing, even if you don't believe in God or God's not the mobilizer in your life. But it was really a God thing that all the circumstances in my life culminated in this coupling with Francesca and Punish for Protecting, and like all the amazing moms, like really could like make me emotional to even talk about it. And God really put certain things in my life, my kids, kids with special needs, high conflict divorce, whatever you want to call it, domestic violence, all kinds of things that brought me to this path that are, an integration of all these experiences, educational background, what I've learned from Francesca. And let me just say, even though she gives me way too much credit about the educational background I have, nothing is more educational than boots on the ground, living this out, being a part of what you're doing, being like ridiculously like, can I just listen in on this phone call, whatever it is, whatever training thing. I can't talk to you right now. Look at your hair. Sorry. I already told them not to come ask me questions. Sorry. Did you hear Finn? He's like, I forgot. He's all, look at my hair. I don't even turn my head. It's like you can take all the schooling in the world. Okay. Go to all the classes you want. Nothing is going to show you what you need to know, living it out and watching it happen. So it's been amazing to be able to do that. And like I said, I have a special needs child. God brought me to the study of special education as I homeschooled that child with evolving and ever-changing needs, quite frankly, because when he was 8, he had a traumatic brain injury and everything changed. And all of it was traumatic for me too. But it's such a testimony to, and even though, again, if you don't believe in God, take from this message that the culmination of the trials in your life have meaning for you as far as what your purpose is. And even if you don't believe in God, he made you and he's forming you for whatever thing is next for you. And it's really a beautiful thing, although we walk through so much heartache and pain to get here. But so I have a master's degree in special education. I have a master's degree in constitutional law, and oddly enough, terrorism and homeland defense. New. I mean, we all are dealing with terrorists, though, aren't we? Some of these people, I'm telling you. But the tactics we learned in grad school won't probably help us because they actually tell you not to negotiate with terrorists. So, but the best thing we can teach parents and people who love their kids is to stay out of family court. You think you have conflict now? We're going to drop a landmine into the situation. That's what happens. Like I said earlier, you think you're coming in, it's cut and dry. You're fitting all the bill of the safe parent. And it's just not that simple. The family courts, and I'm not saying it's everybody, you'll find a diamond in the rough here and there. They want you to stay in these protracted cases, and we want you free from the bondage of that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Thank you so much for that. If you want to go ahead and maybe deal with that situation, and then tell Finn, and is it Finn, Samuel, and who's in there right now?
That was Micah opening a little package of Skittles with my teeth. Just really quick.
Although I said hello. All
Out
right.
of his Easter basket.
So to let you guys know, like as you saw with the little clip that was originally on TikTok, preparing for today, April 12th, the big launch. There is on the website, matter of fact, that's in the description. So on the website, there's going to be 2 contact forms. One is called Book a Talk, which is basically an initial consultation with me. We are going to go that same process. Initial consultation, you get assigned an initial intake specialist that's highly trained to your case. We have a scheduling and billing assistant that handles that end, and all the scheduling. And then at that point, you would get me as a constant for your first consultation. From that point, generally what we do is we delve into the case and we become very involved. And anybody that's had us knows how deeply involved we are with these cases. We are literally in there. Okay. And we're very passionate about what we do. And we're what's the word I'm looking for besides involved? We are very invested. We're very, very invested in your case. I don't like to miss a court date. I like to be able to observe everything. We like to read everything. We don't like to ignore things. Okay. Like we see with a lot of these attorneys that are turning you. That's for first of all. So that's like the normal process from Book a Talk and then all the different things we do. I invoke your ADA. First of all, you're having a screening and all this kind of stuff first so that I understand what your needs are and what you need and what your actual accommodations would be. And I'm going to kind of go over, obviously more layers of this with this new system, alternative to family court. And I see questions coming up and we are going to touch on these questions that have to do with CPS and foster care and forced adoption, because that's extremely important to my heart and soul. And again, part of our life's work here. But we're talking like we like to keep people that have never been in family court. Hi, girls. Out of family court. I see Tammy saying hi, Aunt Fran. Love you guys. And it's Francesca to everyone, by the way. The name is Francesca, but to my close family and friends, they get away with it. Okay. So, but what we're trying to do is first and foremost, we don't want you entering a family court. Okay. Now, with my over 15 years experience, I know in a personal level, and then just working with thousands of clients a year, literally, how damaging family court is and how irresponsible judicial orders are, and how no matter how many people are out there fighting and exposing this and on, we're still seeing the most horrific tragedies. Irresponsible is probably a nice word to give them. It is absolutely disgusting what happens, which we can touch more on tonight. So that's our first goal. So what you would do is you would have an agreement with the husband and wife if you're divorcing, and I want to touch on that because we do believe in marriage and family. Okay, and we have an aspect of what we do that if parents are willing to work it out, that's what we want to see. Okay, now obviously we all know you can't work with a narcissist, you can't work with an abuser, somebody with coercive control that wants to take you down, and they want to use the family court to do it. Okay. But normal people that break up, okay, they will want to take care of their children and they want the best for their children. So what I believe this is going to do is thank you so much. What I believe this is going to do, I'm reading Tammy's message. We have a private joke. What I believe this is going to do, and tell the girls that they're getting me offset here a little bit. What I believe this is going to do, honestly, is abusers are it's going to highlight abusers. It's going to highlight that narcissistic personality more, to the point where when more and more people gravitate toward an alternative to family court, something that's been desperately needed for a long time. I want to abolish the family court, but you have to build something. Okay. And so why not build a holistic approach, which is what we have, a multifaceted approach to keeping your family as safe and healthy as possible, making healthy and good choices. At the end of the day, after you come to an agreement through our process, you can get an arbitrator. If it's a divorce and say you're going into Supreme Court to divorce, you'll have all the tools you need, and your family unit will have already come to a healthy decision that's not going to torture anybody in the situation. Okay. Obviously, like, again, abusers, narcissists, they just want to continue their reign of terror. They just want to continue to exert their power over you, and too many people know that. But I do think that what'll start to happen is they'll start coming in. I mean, obviously not the extreme sociopathic type, but I do believe that they'll start coming in, and we will be happy to reach out to them and say, listen, this is the approach we have. This is what we do. This is our 15 going on 16 years of experience, multifaceted throughout the entire country. These are the negative things that can happen to your children. This is what we've seen over the years. This is the social science research. This is what ACE, Adverse Childhood Experiences, says, this and all that. And I do believe that they're going to want to put their best face forward. And when they come in, okay, and they go through this alternative to family court process, where they're never going to walk into a family court, or if you're already in a family court, we can get you out of family court. Because if you both say, I'm dropping everything and I'm going to go this way, okay, that's how we'll start pulling people out. And that's how we'll start to what I call, I want to show you my hat. I made this several years ago. Okay, this is not a MAGA hat, and it doesn't say drain the swamp. What this says is, I don't know if you can see it there, it says drain the sewage. Because see, a swamp has animals in it, okay, mammals, whatever, in it. Sewage is absolutely disgusting. Okay, I couldn't think of anything dirtier than what I had witnessed over the years in a family court. And it's not just family court. It's family court. It's CPS. It's police. It's law enforcement on different levels, meaning district attorneys, mayors, attorney generals, multiple politicians on both sides of the fence. This is the child trafficking industry, guys. That's what it is. They are making a multi-trillion-dollar. They've made a multi-trillion-dollar industry, and that just says punish for protecting. A trillion-dollar industry off of people's children. Okay, they really don't have a heart for children. Okay, so the things that we think of, good word, the things that we think of as best interest of the children, it sounds like such a great word. And in our minds, normal people are thinking, best interest of the children wouldn't be to put them with an abuser of some sort. Best interest of the children wouldn't be to rip them away from a family and not look at their biological family, as we see constantly happening with CPS, because I do see the CPS questions coming through here. And the foster care questions coming through here. Those are never best interest of the children. That's a barbaric action. That's an absolutely diabolical and barbaric action. Even if parents did something really horrible, there has to be a gentler, more humane, decent way to take children when, let's say, they're murderers or something terrible. Okay, genuinely. Okay, that even in those cases, there has to be a humane way, not what they do, gunpoint at 3:00 in the morning, cuffing people's parents in front of their children. This is sociopathic, narcissistic horror stories, and we see it every single day. We've also seen thousands upon thousands of American children killed in foster care, in forced adoption, and in the child trafficking industry of family courts. Horrible, and irresponsible orders. Okay, Hannah, I know you're probably on the edge of your seat with touching on some of the things I'm saying right now. Some of the things that happen in education with the kids.
Yeah, I think there's no question. I know Jay said this the last time he was on, and I'm actually, like, just really quick, my voice doesn't always sound like this, everyone. I've never had my voice back for weeks, but the family courts are creating disabilities, obviously, and so we know that what happens to a parent is happening to the child, right? So if there's increased trauma, which the family courts bring, the children are either, their issues are compounded, or they're just absolutely sprung out of that situation. Like, we see that all the time. It's rare that we would see a family that comes without multiple children on IEPs. There's nothing wrong with being on IEPs or taking services. I know that road. I live that road with one of my kids. That's not about what that is, but what we're seeing is the impact of trauma on education, whatever that is. I'm a homeschool mom. That's still education. We still struggle. We did the public school thing for a while. Nothing wrong with public school, whatever you choose. But the point is, you're seeing a tremendous impact, and it fractures social connections. It fractures pathways in your brain that cause you to be able to connect different ideas of grammatical ideas, all kinds of things. I'm just thinking about the struggles I have with my guy, reading comprehend, just overall efficacy in reading, writing, the basics. Okay. And so that can be that it's something that's congenital, and then you know what you're dealing with as it evolves. But suddenly, out of nowhere, your kid is having all this trauma, and suddenly they're struggling. And we know our schools are struggling too. So that just isn't helping either. But they're creating disabilities. The family courts don't want to get you out. Like I was saying before, they posture like they want to get you out, because who would even say we want to keep you here to spin your wheels and spend all your money forever? But look at these cases, 14 years, 10 years, 5 years. I mean, even a year. When you know what you're looking at, know what you're facing, it doesn't take years to see what's going on. It really doesn't. Then they start piling on services, piling on people, piling on evaluators. It really doesn't take that much in-depth thinking to see that all of these layers are adding money and time and trauma and actually inhibiting resolution. And like you said, there's plenty of cases that are never going to go to peaceful resolution. It only takes one person to refuse to mediate something. But there are plenty of cases that I think, even like you were saying earlier, saying, are on the way to getting high conflict and getting like just erupting. And I think some of those could be like, it's sort of the concept of us looking in on court hearings and people starting to kind of tighten their ties a little bit. And, whereas before that, it was just a chaotic circus and free for all. I'm not saying it's not.
No,
it's the same idea, though.
That's a good point, because Hannah, how many times have we had like interviews with our clients, and then they're like, "This judge is so horrible," and they are horrible, but this judge is so horrible, and they treat me like this, and they do this, 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 and this, and as soon as we're in there, we see this little pussycat, like they're.
And even if it's artifact from us being there, well, that's all the point. Like you were saying earlier, every email, every mediation, every meeting with your attorney, every interaction, not only so we have a holistic view of what's happening, it's also a way of taking the temperature of the dynamics of the situation. Because a lot of things over time, we've developed, you obviously way more than me, but you can kind of sniff out certain things and people. You get to know human nature a little bit. You can tell who's a wolf in sheep's clothing. You can tell who's kind of slithering in the background. You can tell who's just kind of a wimp, which I'd say there's a lot of all of it. But you can work with someone who's kind of wimpy. They may kind of go with the wind a little bit. But once people start feeling a little bit of pressure and eyes on them, especially when it comes to people that seem to know what they're talking about, people start, like I said, tightening their ties and buttoning up a little bit. Not everybody, but it makes a difference. Think about it for anything. If you were training someone at work and even your trainee was there, you're like, all right, I'm going to put my best foot forward. It's just human nature.
100%. And what I want to say to the audience and those that are watching, and we really have a love for all of you. We really care deeply about what's happening in this country and how it's affecting everybody. So that's why we do this. I mean, and I want to say, I'm going to give some negative stuff. And as you can see, I'm putting stuff up on the screen where people are saying horrible things that have happened, horrible things that are, happening to them, because it's really important that you see what's actually happening and why it's so bad to be anywhere involved with the family court. You become almost like a second-class citizen once you're family court involved, and you have a serious issue that takes place and you go to the police. They tell you to take it to family court. But if you weren't family court involved, you'd go to the police and they'd arrest somebody.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. That's exactly right. That's actually a very disturbing thing that's extremely consistent, because if you would, somebody disclosed about, I'll just say, and with total anonymity, and someone that's not a client, but they were wanting to tell this person to call us that they're in the church and the parents separated because of domestic violence. The father disclosed that he had sexually abused the three children. And everybody's trying to be conciliatory about it. And I'm sitting here like, she's like, what would you do? I'm like, call the police. But because they're already in court here locally, actually in Virginia, the courts not only will refuse to modify the time with the father because he's like, I'm getting help, I'm going to change. I'm not saying he's not. I'm just obviously very cautiously optimistic. Right, exactly. I'm like, where are the police reports? Where's the Commonwealth attorney? And this is crazy. We got a disclosure from the guy that it synchronizes with the kids. So
multiple disclosures from clients all over the country that they have evidence and they still ignore it. They still ignore it.
And but once you, if something happened to one of my kids right now at Sunday school, let's say, and it was a cut and dry thing, we're calling the police, the guy's getting arrested, and we are prosecuting. The Commonwealth attorney is going to prosecute this guy. If this is my boyfriend or my husband, and he happens to be the Sunday school teacher, and that happens, that is a redirection of the entire, it recalibrates the entire dynamic. Oh, are you guys in family court? Excuse me, how does that change the law? Somehow. It does.
Somehow, but it's completely ignored because they know that they're bringing in all kinds of money. And guys, I'm going to give you some negative stuff right now. We're going to go to an infomercial. I need to give you these important years of experience and learning and the science behind it, the social science research. And so don't touch that dial. Share with your friends. This is going to show you why an alternative to family court is the answer for our country's health. Our country's health. Our country is in a rapid decline. We have our government positions that are literally robbing the Constitution, your articles of human rights, all your rights, your children inside your houses. I just heard in Pennsylvania that they banned mothers breastfeeding their children in certain areas in hospitals. They will not allow it. They only are allowing formula fed. This is some really sick stuff. So don't touch that dial because I've got some important information here that you're going to want to hear. And also, hopefully, if you have somebody that you can kind of talk to and you're in the middle of a separation or you've been in one and there might be some communication, they should really watch this because they can see what dangerous and horrible things can happen to them. We see people's houses get taken away, their whole entire life savings get taken away. It's a lot more, and there's nothing more important, obviously, than your children. But if you can't provide for them, they stripped you of everything and they made a shell of who you are. We want to have a vision for your future that's healthy and happy, that you can be all God called you to be, and you can't if this system continues to rob you. So please stay right there, right after this commercial break.
We'll be right back after a message from Punished for Protecting Incorporated. Each new generation of protective mothers is shocked when they first go to family court and find it doesn't favor single mothers and is willing to jeopardize children. Francesca's harrowing experience with the broken family court system, from which she finally received justice after 8 months of struggle, is proof that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Francesca has one of these unspeakably cruel cases and has responded by shining a large spotlight on widespread failures so other mothers won't be shocked. Punished for Protecting the Injustice System of Family Court by Francesca Amato Banfield, advocate, mother, whistleblower, founder, and TV talk show host of Punished for Protecting. If you are struggling with injustices wrought by our courts, this book will help guide you through the process. Available on Amazon.com. Search Punished for Protecting and get your copy today. Help abolish family court by purchasing Punished for Protecting merchandise. Here are our top sellers. See the link in the YouTube video description to find out how to get your Punished for Protecting t-shirt. Get your high-quality Punished for Protecting t-shirt while supplies last, and let everyone know that you stand for justice. Are you being re-victimized by the family court system? Do you need help with your case? Go online and book a talk with Francesca. Go to punished4beingaparent.com/book-a-talk. Fill in your name, email address, and message to Francesca. Someone will get back to you within 24 hours. Francesca and her staff of volunteers continue to work tirelessly every single day for parents and children who are in need of their help. There have been multiple success stories, including Francesca's, which gives hope to others in similar situations. Abolish for Protecting Incorporated has incurred out-of-pocket expenses with zero funding to help families get their children back or to save their children from being taken. We also have provided funds to help with retainers, food, lodging, and travel. We really need your help so we can continue to provide our many services. Any amount is greatly appreciated. If you'd like to donate or sponsor a family in need of help, go to Cash App, Free the Children. And now back to our broadcast.
So the judge that you saw is actually the judge that I wrote the book about, Punish for Protecting the Injustice System of Family Court. And once again, if you look down below, I'm going to be at the Sarah Hullock Library in Milton, New York on April 28th at 3 p.m. You can call, space is limited, 845-795-2200. And you can purchase a book during that Tea Talk is what it's called. You can purchase a book. I will autograph a copy, but the session is 2 hours long and is completely free. And I'm going to go over all kinds of stuff with you. So if you're in the New York area or if you live in New York, definitely come on down and see me. I have a really a nice Tea Talk plan for you with a lot of information to discuss your cases. You can ask me questions and so on and so forth. So going back to us doing this alternative to family court, which I'm extremely excited about. And you know, some people do understand like what it's like to go into mediation and try to, you know, settle and make an agreement and not go into court, but you have attorneys involved in all of that. And in this case, you wouldn't have that. Okay, you wouldn't have that if you're already planning on divorcing and you're in the process of divorcing. This is going to take you through an entirely holistic approach, but with like I said, over 15 years of national experience. If you don't know, I'm a domestic violence, child abuse advocate nationally. I must have put in thousands upon thousands of observational time in courts across the country over my years. Probably more than that. Because I don't think I sleep. I think I do this 24/7, 8 days a week. But and Hannah does know because we literally are on the phone midnight and 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes, like working on specific cases. If we can have the kind of success we have right in the lion's den, imagine the kind of success we're going to have outside of the lion's den. And the whole goal and process, the whole goal and you know that we want is to actually take the entire system down. And I do believe that this is how we're going to do it. Okay. So the data and the evidence point to the fact that these decisions forced by family court judges negatively impact families and children, thus causing lasting emotional disabilities and injuries. Through years of experience, I have discovered that protective mothers mostly, okay, I know people think it's fathers, are mistreated and treated as a disfavored class. Now, dads that are not abusive fathers, and I meet them every day, they're great fathers, do not want to take full custody of children. They don't, okay? They don't. That's the truth. Abusive dads want full custody. Now, if a mother is an abuser, or she's abusing drugs or she's dangerous to some degree of her children, the dads that I've met So I don't want you to think that I hate men, because that's the furthest thing from the truth. You can't even imagine my moral compass and what I believe when it comes to marriage and family. I believe in standing in a covenant marriage for your life. Okay. Even if that person, husband or wife, has horrible things, I believe that that's what God does for us. Okay. So that's not true. But I believe in the safety and welfare of children, and I believe that your life is a gift, and that you should not live in fear of your children being harmed or yourself. Okay, so I'm saying that to say that that mothers are mistreated and treated as a disfavored class. Fathers that are not abusive would be more than happy to do what we're about to do, so that everybody can have a healthy outcome. Okay. Fathers that want to continue to exercise control over you, they're not going to want to do this, but we're willing to make those phone calls to them and say, hey, listen, we have this process, XYZ. This is what it would entail. This is the end results for your children. And we would go through all of the data, all of the social science research, how you're endangering your children. I've had many dads say, my children are in danger. My children are in danger. Okay. So instead of all of that happening, or I've had people say they ripped my business away, they ripped my homes. Okay. Not just a home, maybe homes. Maybe you were thriving in life. People should be thriving in life, not just being told they can't leave the state. Like when we became parents, we did not become, criminals on probation, that we can't leave the state. They're robbing all your freedoms, and we're allowing it. And the only way to stop allowing it is building this new model, which we've already built it, alternative to family court. Okay. One bench at a time. And you're helpful. You're actually instrumental in your situation. You become instrumental in helping your neighbors and your neighbors' neighbors. Okay. That's the same thing that's happened with us before this particular model was built. Each individual family, our cases are becoming easier to win. As we're involved with our families, advocacy itself, not just like invoking the Americans with Disability Act and so on, and changing the minds of the judges, changing the minds of the attorneys. They fight with me all the time. Oh no, this is how it is. This is how it is. And then I give them the federal codifications. And I had an attorney today. He literally said, oh, well, I guess South Carolina is behind the times. First, he argued with me, gave him the laws, and then he finally came to his senses for a moment there. So that's my point. This is what we fight every day. We struggle with these things all the time, and we have to go into the lion's den all the time. This way, you're not even going to deal with that place anymore. You're going to make a free will decision for your family. What's more healthier than that? And your family on a whole, holistically, makes healthy choices. Children, even with good mothers and fathers, shouldn't have to sleep 3 days a week here, 4 days a week there. 5 days. That is so. Imagine as an adult, you being a ping pong ball, having to stay back and forth with your suitcase and back and forth. You don't even understand how unhealthy and unstable that is. Hannah, I can see you have a lot to say.
I definitely do, and you're perfectly supporting your beginning, your selling points. That, I mean, what you're actually saying will happen in active steps are the things that the courts say they are supposed to be doing. I mean, the whole thing is set up to be adversarial. The idea here, which has always been true for even just the ADA, I say just, it's not a minimization, it's a lot. The ADA portion of things, and what you always say to new clients is, we want to get you out of court. We want this, as much as we like you, we want this to be over. You know what I mean? Let's get you in and out. Let's get this done. And that's not usually the purpose of attorneys and the courts. And so there's an oppression that comes, even if you do somewhat, even if it's remotely amicable, that you come to something, you memorialize it in your court order, and then it's signified by a judge. What you've done now is handed over even the logistics of your family to the court. Okay. So somebody gets a new husband or a new wife, somebody gets a bee in their bonnet or something, they can come after you nonstop to adhere to all these line items, or maybe they want to read into them and torment you with what might be between the lines. Who needs it? Who wants to take their whole life and hand it over to strangers? So even when you come up with something and it ends up, like I said, being memorialized by a judge, and everybody signs it, you still have handed it over to the state to actually enforce if somebody decides they don't want to follow it anymore, or if somebody decides they don't like that you're getting remarried, or who knows what it can be. So why even go there? It's the worst possible thing you can do. The best thing to do is live out your life in the most peaceful way possible. And beyond that, like you said earlier, there may be, I don't remember exactly how you said it, Francesca, but it dinged my mind, and I wish I could remember exactly what you said. But the point is, even reconciliation, if there's a remote possibility of that, which obviously is a victory, especially if there's a situation that should never become a fracture, you get very far away from that happening when you go into the family courts, because they're set up to pit you against each other,
That's just
the
it.
attorneys and all of that. And that's not what we would be interested in.
Even when they do mediation, the parties are separated. They're in separate
Yeah.
rooms, or they're not coming together even in the virtual setting. Okay. So the attorney that they bring in, attorney mediator, and I see this all the time, and it takes hours and hours and hours and hours. It's so grueling, and then people are trying to make these quick decisions, and we stop them from making those quick hesitating. I'm sorry, hasty decisions. Okay, because it's not the right.
It's like being in an interrogation room. Like, you see
Mhm.
people giving like false confessions and all kinds of things because they get worn down,
Yes.
humiliated, and exhausted. And then
That,
you start agreeing to things that you didn't like. Wait a minute, I didn't murder that guy.
yes, I'll
It's the
take the
same
house if you give me
concept.
the boy so that he's not, no longer safe or
Right.
unsafe, whatever. And that's not how we're going to work this. We're going to work an entirely different. It's never been done before. What we're doing has never been done before. And it is a healthy solution to your family, even if you're dealing with a narcissist, even if you're dealing with a sociopath, because at the end of the day, you're either going to work with like say you're getting a divorce, it'll be in your divorce decree as an agreement that everybody feels good about. Not I force this and you force that. No, that's not how we were built. Second of all, there you can be held accountable, obviously, if somebody's not following it. Okay. Because at the end of the day, you can choose an arbitrator on your own, or you can
Mhm.
obviously go to the Supreme Court and do your divorce. But you guys came into agreement. But here's what they do. So in family court, we already know they're already set up. They already have the handbook to lie about everything that's happening. Um, and obviously when there's abuse, putting children with the abusers all the time, and then pretending that the children are safe and good and so on and so forth. But what I've seen decent parents come in together with an agreement and end up despising each other and killing each other over the years.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to avoid. We're going to not, and I've seen healthy families break up and do great and not destroy their children and themselves. I've seen that too, that don't go into family court. So this entire process will help you. Now, likewise, because I know that there's a bunch of stuff on here, and I've been putting stuff up on the screen for you guys to see, so you see how serious this is.
Yeah.
But we know that there's children in Connors Residential Treatment Center that are being abused every day. Children in other treatment centers that are being abused. Children in foster care that are being abused in foster care. Children that are being abused in forced adoption. How does an alternative to family court help that? Well, very simply, because we're draining that sewage. We're taking it down one family at a time, one bench at a time. We're taking it down. We're taking it down individually. We're taking it down corporately. We're taking it down globally. So that's what we're doing. But by us infiltrating the courts like we've been with our expert background, invoking the ADA, invoking your human rights, not tolerating them telling you that the Constitution doesn't apply here. It applies. Okay.
Yeah. What about that one judge? Oh, this is separate from that.
Yeah, this is separate.
No, that's
No.
not how it works. No,
So if we
we're
can do
setting
it,
that aside.
right,
No, we're not doing that.
and it's so frustrating because you're talking to these attorneys that took an oath to they all took an oath. They all, oh yes, Constitution, but it doesn't apply in family court. That is the most sick. Look at the dangers. Look at the destruction. Look at how bad it is. No one can ever tell me or prove me wrong. Nobody can prove me wrong because I have and actual observational experience over the years. Okay. And I've done all this work and I continue. I literally just registered for, I don't even know how many more certifications and classes just today.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, with the ongoing, that's important to say. I'm glad you said that because it can give people comfort. Like, and I don't deem myself an expert. That is uncomfortable for me, but we are constantly striving to get more education. Like I told you, I'm always like, I know it sounds insane, but can I listen in? Like whatever thing, because listening in and boots on the ground and taking the trainings, going to the Vine stuff, like all the things we're doing all the time.
Yeah.
Because this is also an ever evolving thing. The world is that way too.
There's
It's
Vine,
constant.
there's Vine coming up, there's Homeland
Right.
Security.
And so people need to understand that, like, I'm not saying educational background and degrees don't matter, but quite frankly, the boots on the ground stuff, the actual like ear to the grindstone, nose to the grindstone, and hearing what's going on, seeing what's going on, applying the ongoing, the continuing education that we get is, I mean, a lot of that is just far more valuable, because you can't teach that. You can't teach the things that we're seeing, things we're doing, and the things we're learning and applying to those things we're seeing and doing. That's not stuff that people can write in a book that haven't seen it. It's just not the same. So people need to understand that this is also a constant continuing educational situation. And you guys are the ones really that give us the most education, and that's where you see the consistency in the trends, the toxic patterns, the wrongful implementation of the laws, or the mutations of the laws. When you talk to 10 women in a row and the stories are so close, I mean, you can't make that up.
And
We're seeing it.
You can't unsee what we've already seen. We've seen it. We've seen it long enough and hard enough. And
that's exactly like what Tammy just said, which I can see slightly without my reading glasses. It's exactly right. Real life experience it. That's why the smartest people I know dropped out of high school. Like it's just, what is your drive? What do you want to learn about? What are you digging into? And what are you putting yourself out there to do?
I think you even said it yourself. I think you're the one that said it, that in courts, the threshold to be an expert in a specific area is really not high.
It's fairly low. It's like a master's degree.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's low, but any remotely smart person who had time can get a master's degree.
Well, also, but to become an expert in something is when you're doing the same thing all the time and you're focusing.
That's exactly right.
That focal point is that particular, what you've mastered, which we
right. This is what I've done. This is how I've evaluated things. These are the measuring sticks I apply to things. That's where expertise comes in.
Well, and one of the things I find really cool and really interesting is that I'm dealing with all these attorneys and all these different situations, and the same, I'll use my words wisely, the same encouraging opinion I may give on something is exactly what the attorneys give them when they're telling them the right thing.
It's true. It's true. It may be a different way to say something, but once they see the continuity of, and so here's another thing that's very valuable, and I won't say who it was recently, who was so like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you know that, or oh my gosh, I can't believe you knew exactly what I was talking about. And like, well, yeah, they always do that. And then it's this.
Yeah. Yep. So guys, so basically in description, I think she froze. We'll have to get her back here. In description, you guys can, if you're interested in going through the program, which we'll explain more to you. If you go to Book Talk, you can start the process that way. If you're still going to do the same normal process of Book Talk with the alternative to family court. Remember, the alternative to family court is for your whole family. It's to keep you out of family court. It's to keep you, I think all lawyers don't like to be called liars, but that's what most of them are. People don't like to be called out, Don't tell them the truth, Anna Mae. But so in description, there's a section there that is alternative to family court, one bench at a time. You can fill out the contact form and we will get you started on the process. You will be bringing in your family. And if you feel like the other side is not willing to do this, we will make those phone calls for you. We will do an intake with them and we will explain to them the negative impacts on their families, on their home, on everything, not just their children. But like I said, I really think that the only people that won't do this are abusers. I don't see why any family, if you really loved your children, you're going to want to go this holistic approach, alternative to family court. Get out of the family court, drop your bullets on both sides, come on in. You'll still have a legal document at the end because you'll either go, like I said, to the Supreme Court or you can get an arbitrator judge, a retired even arbitrator judge, to get it, to get it signed and authorized and under oath and so on, and have your plan set in motion. And just think of the money that you're going to save when you're not losing your shirt and everything else in your home and your livelihood and everything you work for and your job and your children, and plus on top of that, you have to think of all the mental health, physical health, um, negative things that'll happen over time when you allow the abuses of family court and family court judges. But overall, we are doing this as a community. We are doing this, excuse me, as a community to stop this on a much grander level, because we need to put those boundaries up with this overreaching government that works for us, that thinks that they own us. And so this is going to be a part of the multifunctional and multi-educational alternative to family court for the holistic approach for your family, one bench at a time, taking it down, and all the benefits that go with it. So like I said, you could go ahead and you can fill out the forms. They're here in the description of whatever channel you're watching this on, and start the process and see if it's for you. And we'll discuss it with you. And we're very, very excited about it. And we appreciate all of you. I think Hannah's coming back. Here we go.
I'm so sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I don't know what you got to, but I think my phone, I don't know if it was the outlet I was using. Sorry. Now I'm leaning on my kitchen countertop, but I was saying that it goes exactly with what Tammy was saying. You cannot teach experience. I mean, you just can't. So that mother who's super bright and capable and not, like a know nothing, was amazed by the stuff we were saying to her about just, oh yeah, then it was probably that and whatever it is. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what they said, or whatever it was. Yeah. And you feel like, okay, I know a couple of things, but it's really just, it's just what we're seeing all the time. But there's a comfort in that. And that goes to this perfectly, this alternative to thing goes exactly to what we've always been saying, that there is, even in this, and if we look at things on paper, we're seeing a lot of hopeless things, right? If I look at it and say, this is hopeless, but this is never hopeless. No. And that's what I feel like is missing from a lot of the messaging out there. And I've said this multiple times, like with Marianne and other places where it's, okay, that's relatable. That makes me feel good. I'm not crazy that other people are dealing with that too. Okay, but that only goes so far, right? Right. Well, what's next? What do I do? Now I'm terrified. Okay, there are answers. There are solutions. And that's what we want people to grab onto, And that's what this is. That's where your heart and soul is. That's what this next level up is, which I think is, it's just another comfort thing for people to get out of or stay out.
It's too dangerous of a place. You can't, your family can't be a roll of the dice. When judges are sending children into the hands of abusers at unprecedented numbers, and mothers mostly and fathers are threatened with jail time if they don't follow an irresponsible and dangerous court order. Okay, that the fact that they lack evidence based practices, the list just goes on. They're not versed in the American Disability Act. They tell you that the Constitution doesn't apply here. They tell you that your articles of human rights don't apply here. Get the heck out of there. Okay. The bottom line is get the heck out of there. Stop paying the Bar Association.
Well, what about that mom today? That amazing mom today, oh, my attorney said if it's just too risky. I mean, even though I have a good case, you never know. Excuse me, having a good case is supposed to have some kind of a weighty impact on the outcome. But you and I both know.
There's another one.
I can't read it.
I would like to be a firsthand witness to losing everything wrongly from family court, and I never thought it would be a possibility because I did everything I was supposed to do, and I am a great parent. Hannah and I deal with great parents all the time with college.
Most of them are great parents.
Amazing, clean background people suffering who thought it could never happen to them. I'm super wealthy. It's not going to happen to me. Then they got more to take from you. I'm super poor. It's not going to happen to me. Or I'm the only person that it happens to because I'm super poor. No, they don't care who they take it all from you from. So
And there's no consistency except for it being just a grab bag every time.
Yeah, the grab bag, and so it's not. We don't want to play Russian roulette with your family and your life. Get out of court. Come try the alternative to family court.
Save your money.
Yeah.
Live your life. Go out of town. Like go out of state. But you're in prison. It's a bondage. Once you give your life, and some people don't have a choice. They get dragged in and you have to respond. Obviously, if you don't respond, you're going to have a major problem.
Yeah.
But if you give your life to strangers, give your choices, give your school, give your vacation times, give your spring break, whatever it is, then they are the arbiters of your life.
That's right. And I do want to end with this because we're going to call it a night, and we thank you guys for watching. Spread this spread this message like wildfire. Like I said, if we can be as successful as we are in the corrupt family court, imagine how much more when we take you guys out of it, how much more healthier for your and beneficial to your life. And we take you through the whole lesson plan and so on. But, this is not a free service. I am one of the lowest out there with one of the most highest credentialed backgrounds and years.
I'm going to say, I have to emphasize that, to the point of me being like, you cannot do it any longer like this. Like, tell me that I haven't said that.
Right. So there are fees, obviously, but I think we are extremely generous. Let's put it that way. Extremely generous. But you're going to be saving yourself in a lifetime of disaster. And like I said, prove me wrong. You cannot. That's one thing people cannot prove is me wrong on what I know about family court, CPS, child predator services, foster care, forced adoption, and children that are in homes. Now, like I said, we all think of it as I instead of doing a tithe in a church that's putting it towards bad stuff, okay, that maybe you can't afford it, or maybe you don't have families in a situation like this, but or your money, if you are paying for the service to do this, I hate to say services because we don't like to use court lingo and things like that, but the program that we have, just think of it as, we do $270,000 a year in free work that doesn't come from grants. It comes from me, my guts, our guts. It doesn't come from money. And we're tapped out every year on that, and we go over that. We even go over that. Even when I'm like, I can't do anymore, but this woman, I really feel bad for her. Let's take her. That kind of stuff. But obviously, when you're a paying client, you are helping other families. Your case, by us winning your case for you or saving your family, that put health back in our nation. So it's like a probiotic versus an antibiotic. Antibiotic means death. Probiotic means life. We are probiotics, okay? We are putting the probiotics back in your gut.
I like it. This is like a new tagline. This is your probiotic. This is your prophylaxis right here. This is your prophylaxis.
Life-giving, and we're putting life back
in. I love it.
We are getting rid of the family court, which
I can testify to all of these truths. I see you working around the clock, nonstop, never able to not continue following the pattern. You can't stop. If the trajectory is going and someone can't pay, I'm not advertising this, by the way, because you're maxed out. The point is, you never leave someone hanging. You're always willing to help. And I know it's in your heart and soul. And people can see that. The antibiotics, Maria. It's the truth. And there's nothing, I can tell you this with all my experience before I met you about a year and a half ago, there is nothing else out there that exists like this with the entirety of what this is. There just isn't. And that's why I want to be a part of it. Because we're aligned, obviously, in our thinking and our beliefs. And it's, it's true.
Well, and if I may, thank you so much, Hope Rose. Thank you so much. If I may just kind of close with this. So with what we're going to do is bringing that holistic approach to families. And remember, there's prayer that goes behind what we do. I do believe a lot of the work that we do is really more of a ministry than most churches out there. We don't force our beliefs on you, but we will be praying for you. So we will be. And most people are very well open to that. But we don't throw you out if you don't believe like we do. We love you. But the thing is that we're bringing not just hope back into your family, like I said, a probiotic versus an anti, but in the courts, they have you fighting with each other. So you're constantly in you're constantly in fight and flight, constantly. I'm like, he's attacking me, I gotta attack back. This is what goes on for years. This is not the way your children should be growing up. I'm gonna lose my house, I'm gonna lose my shirt, I'm gonna lose my job because I'm living in court. I'm gonna and this is constant. We're bringing health back to that. And I really am a firm believer that if you speak life and you live life and you prophesy out of your mouth a life positive outcome, and even like new age books talk about that, that's a biblical thing, but it still happens because God's laws can't fail. So what we're about to do in each family that does the alternative to family court, is exactly that. It's to bring back the restoration of the family and to save the families. And you know what will happen in you're I don't know if you realize what you do in your family generations towards the future makes blessings towards the family generations towards the future versus curses, okay, or negative things. And so yes, I like that. You need to thrive, not survive. And that's the thing right there. That's it. Okay, so that's what we need to do. And if we close this place down, how dare they call it a family court? There's nothing family about it. It's just like they say, best interest of the child, lie. Family court, lie. Parental alienation syndrome, lie. All these things are lies. You know, this is lies. The children are doing great, lie. You know, as they're regressing.
Right, where you're not going to be walking through your life, thinking about every word you're saying or who might be looking at it at some point. It's about freedom from that. The oppression, it's oppressive.
That's right.
And nobody wants to we're against oppression, like we both said at different times tonight. It's not you don't have to believe in God or whatever, but that's what's motivating where we're coming. That's a prime mover in this. Yeah. Freedom from oppression, living your life with the most freedom you can, free of burdens, these heavy-hearted burdens that cause people extreme health problems too, not just mental health things, but physical problems. Look at Marianne, had a heart attack. All these women having broken heart syndrome, horrible things that come to you through stresses and oppression. And they have a spiritual impact, however you believe. That Jody
family court causes cancer because they force abuse. They force abuse there, then use you to be.
What does the world tell you? Your cortisol levels are through the roof walking through your everyday. What does that do to you physiologically? Well, there's a major fallout there. So the point is, we want you free from oppression, not you walking in freedom. And that's a lot of the difference.
Yep, we don't want you sick, and we don't want your family sick on a whole. Yeah, Tammy, she's talking about, strokes, not just cancers. And these are people that literally, this is what happened to them. So when first they
I was thinking about Tammy, but I didn't want to name a name, but yeah.
Okay. Tammy will always say that I got cancer from this, and she got, and so so this is how we corporately shut the family court down. When they no longer have judges, we no longer have CPS, because when judges can't make those orders, CPS has no authority. So if that's how we do this.
Yeah, it's a domino. It could be a domino.
You're describing my life. So
there's Maria. Exactly.
We have the solution. Please, if you're going through this, or somebody that's going through this, send them our way. And I have, you'll see people on my show that I respect, that I trust, and that's why I bring them on my program. But you'll see people not on my program because I don't trust them. I don't respect what they're doing because they're part of this problem.
But if anyone needed any reference, that's super easy. If you need the reference, even though this is a new, this is a different branch on the same tree, the point is, if you needed someone to describe to you what their experience has been, there's no lack in that. If someone needed some kind of, testimony to how these things go with advocacy and things like that, which again, I know this is a different branch on that tree, but those testimonies go directly to this entire umbrella of the concept of this whole thing.
I want to read two things here before I do have to close it. So, Tammy, walking into family court is the equivalent to inviting in Satan. I couldn't agree more with that. Stacy, she and I have had a long conversation, and I'm excited to tell you guys.
Oh, hey, Stacy.
We're going to be showing more and more testimonies of people who have had amazing things happen, where we stopped CPS, where we got children back home. This constantly happens. But Stacy said, thank you for your transparency. Other organizations have used our weaknesses to promise something they never had a passion to keep. We talked about, her and I had talked about this a few hours ago. Stacy and I talked about this, and I was saying like that's where I was kind of saying before, like I have dealt with people and they tell me about, like, it's one thing, I think that people should be paid for their work. Don't ever misunderstand what I'm saying there. I don't begrudge anybody to be paid. Okay, you have to live too. And I've talked about this, but when they take somebody's money and they do nothing, my clients, and I think Hannah, you can vouch for it, and Hannah works overtime to help people.
Well, times a million, I can vouch for. You go like, you would be a millionaire if you got paid by the hour.
Clients are shocked. They're like, I can't believe I needed you and you called me right up. I can't believe you literally followed through over and above what we agreed to. You know, because we're not just about the situations and what and this stuff, you know, this stuff. We're about, you're going through horrible times. We want to be there for you as a friend, as a family member, as a prayer partner, you know, as somebody that cares about you. Jody, I've had hers for many years. Jody, you know, I mean, people know, like, listen, and maybe because I'm Italian and I'm fast and I can, you know, and I can multitask and so on. But I think about people throughout the day. I'm like, I wonder how so-and-so's doing. Let me check in on them. If I can do it, that I have thousands of clients a year, you can too, especially with social media. Maybe you can't pick up the phone. Sometimes I can't, but I'm going to call up and see how are you doing? How's your husband feeling? How's the dog? I heard your dog wasn't doing well, you know, and you're going to get that call from me, or that text message from me, or I'm thinking about you, or how are you? Compassion goes a long way. And we've lost that in this society, you know, and we have more of a chance to be able to reach to people because we have a cell phone in our pocket 24/7, and we have social media, you know, right in front of us all the time. So there really is no excuse for us to just a caring word, you know, something nice to say to somebody, knowing that you're there. Maybe I don't have the answer for something that you've been through. But you know, at least let them know that you care about them. At least let you know. And that's what we're here for as well. Okay.
The support is a big part of it. I know we have to go. The support is a big component of it. But not only that, it's sincere care and concern. Like, we develop real feelings and connections, and it's just more than a professional thing. It's more than that.
It is. But we do love you guys, and we do have to call it a night. I hope we gave you as much information as possible. I look forward to helping your families and getting you out. The end. No more. Goodbye. Finito. La musica. And that's the end of that. So God bless you guys. Thank you so much for watching, sharing, share this message. You can use this message as a tool for anybody that needs our help. And we do love you, and we do care about you, and we care about your children. And I want to see each and every one of you end up with a good, promising future, and none of this ongoing abuse that you don't deserve.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's Michelle or Michelle.
Oh,
okay.
hey, Michelle.
Love you, ladies.
Bye, guys. Thank you
Good
so much.
night.